Hello, it is me again, Sleek Orange, and I am back with another video covering this crappy workplace that I might be leaving tomorrow. I'm 99% sure that I'm not staying there. I want to cover a few more topics, but before I do that, I just want to show you what gets my grill going every single time I do one of these videos. Seeing how every workplace there is that is toxic seems to have so many 5-star reviews. Make sure you come down here and like mine because I left myself a review as well. It just seems people give 5-star reviews for no reason anymore. But that is enough talk about that. Let's start with covering a few things that I feel like need covered, like the workplace accident that we had a month ago, 2.5 weeks to be exact. Because before I transferred to produce, I was working in the dry goods, and my boss Saudi decided to start making up new fancy rules and laws for the freezer. And one of the rules, was the fact that we had to be in the freezer 2 hours minimum before we were allowed to leave and warm up, which is bullcrap because the dude himself can't even stay in there for 2 hours. It's so funny how most of the management team here, when they get bored, they just make up rules and laws and just act like it's a political thing, you know? Like, why are you making rules for stuff that you're not even involved in? The dude barely even goes in the freezer and is involved in it. And keep in mind, before I transferred to produce, I was training everybody in the freezer because they didn't want to go in there. Train anybody on the forklifts that we had to use, the special forklifts they had built for the freezer, called turret trucks. As I mentioned in the last video, Saudi can't drive the turret trucks because he can't see over the bar when he's sitting down. And so that's why I was training everybody, like I said in the last video. So we had a workplace accident, and I'm not going to mention the person's name out of respect for him, but they got up off their forklift, fell off of it, right? They fell off their forklift. They bumped their head to where they still had a lump when they came back 2 days ago on their head. Kind of crazy, right? But what's even more funny, too, is when the accident happened a month ago, they walked they walked him out. They escorted him off the premises to his wife, who picked him up and brought him to the hospital. Escorted. They're finally worried about someone. That's what's funny too, is the fact that now that someone got hurt, now it's an issue. And so after that happened, which was 2.5 weeks ago, I decided to go and cover my ass too and go get my hospital doctor bills too. I went and visited my doctor for when I got hit by the forklift 5 years ago, ran over by the forklift. See, because I have deformed feet, deformed ankles, and I can't stay in the freezer for 2 hours because I have even more bad blood circulation going to my feet than most people do. And as I covered in my last videos, whenever I were to leave the freezer, which was 45 minutes to an hour of me being in there, I would get tracked down and hunted down like an animal and interrogated. Like I said in my last video, they interrogate you all the time for everything. So I decided to go to the doctor and get paperwork stating that I can only be in the freezer for an hour at a time because I have previous hardware in my ankles. So, you know what they did after I got my paperwork is they permanently transferred me out of the freezer, had me turn in all my freezer gear, and transferred me into produce, which is a win-win for me, but it's a loss for them. Because, see, my paperwork didn't say that I couldn't be in the freezer. My paperwork never said that. And also, once more, so when I turned in my paperwork to the HR lady, I told her I liked being in the freezer, that it was peaceful, that I was okay with it, and that I just needed to warm up when I needed to warm up. Because 2 hours in the freezer is unrealistic. But they transferred me out. And you know who they put in there instead of me? 3 new people. You see, they took one person out who was experienced in the freezer, put in 3 new people. And you know what's funny is 2 days later, one of the new people quit and didn't come to work because he didn't like being in the freezer for 2 hours at a time. That's what's funny too, is the fact that they're losing more people now because they decided to be petty. It's just so nice, isn't it? And also the fact that they don't actually certify you on those freezer forklifts. They don't. See, I operated those special, one of a kind, specially made freezer forklifts from Crown without ever being certified on them. And they put new people on them to train them. And let me tell you right now, those things were breaking down every 2 hours. And once more, in the same video, I'll keep it a little bit organized for you guys watching. The fact that these specially made Crown forklifts were the first of their kind. So you'd bet they'd be expensive, right? You'd bet that they'd want someone to take care of them and who knows how to drive them, like me. But no. You know what's funny is the fact that they put all these new people on these forklifts, sent them in there, they completely trashed them. Not only that, not only did they trash the forklifts, but these Crown forklifts that were made for the freezer couldn't be in there for more than an hour at a time. You're right. They they can't be in there for an hour at a time or else they stop working. Because for some reason when the Crown people made these forklifts, they didn't have the common sense or the brain cells to put in hydraulic fluid that can't freeze. And that also doesn't connect the dots because if you remember me saying in the past how they wanted us in the freezer for 2 hours minimum, we couldn't even do that because we had to take the forklifts out every hour. But when there's a will, there's a way. And management team is really bored here all the time. So they will micromanage the shit out of you until you decide to quit or they suspend you for something stupid like me. And what else is funny too is the fact that before, when I was in the freezer by myself, they did not prioritize the freezer goods that came in. Let the freezer goods sit there until they were about to rot before they ran them in the freezer. But after they transferred me out, their whole attitude changed right after I decided to get my paperwork turned in and there was an accident that happened in the freezer. Now, they prioritize it above anything else. See, because I was in the produce area working with my electric riding pallet jacks, they come in there and grab all of our electric pallet jacks away, whether we needed them or not, whether we were in the middle of picking something or not, they'd take them. And they'd have like 5 people running it all into the freezer at the same time. And once more, is they wanted the freezer people to end up picking and, you know, replenishment and all these other stuff when their aisles in the freezer were completely filled up. They couldn't drive down the aisles to pick or replenish anything. But supervisors, management team don't give a crap. They don't have common sense. They say get it done. Well, you better get it done. Or else, you know what? You'll be staying until 8 o'clock at night, pulling a 13-hour shift. Because when you try going home, they'll track you down and guilt trip you into staying. And once more, just to cover it and make it a nice 10-minute video or 11-minute video, is the fact that when you're working overtime, like if you were to come in and work an 8 hour shift and then they try guilt tripping you, and then you end up staying there for 13 hours instead of 8, they don't add on any extra breaks, or they don't accommodate you any extra breaks or anything. Because for some reason, you're supposed to work from 4 o'clock when you're supposed to be leaving until 8 at night without an extra break, which doesn't make any sense. There's no safety supervisor there or anybody safety related in the entire warehouse. Because if there was, a lot of shit would be getting done differently. This is the end of my next video. I'm sure I'll be making another one here in 5 seconds too.